one of the few bands that came up from the punk rock scene and, became a huge worldwide success. And they've been around for so long that they're kind of a testament to music from the underground. So we have a lot of respect for them. And one of the things that the two bands have in common is that we're most concerned with music. We're not really big on image. We're not really big on any one sort of fad or trend. We just make records for the sake of making records. We have ballads, they have ballads. We have fast punk rock songs, they have fast punk rock songs, and they have hard rocking songs, and we do too. And a lot of bands, a lot of the newer sort of bigger bands kind of have one certain dynamic, like they're either too heavy or not, and we would always fall somewhere in the middle there. And with the Chili Peppers, it just seemed to match up really well. And it's been great. It's been the most fun tour we've ever done in our lives. Yeah, well, it's most of the shows for the last 2 months have been in these outdoor amphitheater things, and they're all seated. So when we walk out on stage at like 8 o'clock at night, the sun's still up, and the seats are like half full, and a bunch of the people are there to see us. And by the time we're done, we've got the crowd going crazy on their feet, and it's packed, and sometimes we feel like it's our show. We feel like, wow, this is great. This isn't what I expected it to be like at all. I had no idea that our set was going to go over as well as it does, and thankfully, it has. So it's been really fun. Well, it's weird because I think that a lot of the fans that are older have been fans since the Chili Peppers' first record. When I was 14 or 15, I had the Chili Peppers' first record, and I thought it was great. And now I'm 31, and I like their new records too. So they've kind of, I think a lot of their audience has grown up with them. And now that they're having so much success in the top 40 market, a lot of these people are new fans. A lot of people come out and they hear Scar Tissue or Californication, whatever, and they dig it because it's kind of like adult music. I mean, it's kind of timeless, really. We listen to the song sometimes and think, God, what kind of music is that? Because sometimes it sounds folky, other times it sounds just like rock, sometimes it sounds like funk, but we can never really tell, and it's just music. I think that with Nirvana and with this band, the main concern has always been just writing decent songs. Never really tied down to any one genre of music. We come from punk rock backgrounds, but when we were kids, we listened to rock from the 70s and the 60s. We were all influenced by the Beatles. We were all influenced by Led Zeppelin, all influenced by Black Sabbath, all influenced by Creedence Clearwater Revival and stuff like that. I mean, I still listen to stuff like Phoebe Snow or Peter Frampton, or those are big influences on us as songwriters. So I think our attitude has always been kind of leaning towards the punk rock, where we don't feel the need to conform to anybody, and we don't feel the need to act like we're big famous rock stars, because everybody's just a normal person. But at the same time, you look at someone like Neil Young and you think, you know what, he was punk rock in 1968. What was he? That's, those kind of people are really inspirational. And so, well, you always have to keep everything in perspective. Like when I was 14 years old, I never imagined I'd be making a living off of playing music. Now, I worked at record stores and painted houses and worked in construction warehouses and furniture warehouses, and I always played music because I loved it. Then I knew I always would, because I just love it so much. But it's kind of ridiculous to have any kind of lofty expectations, And when you're blessed with something like being able to come and play a show in front of 10,000 people around the world, have people who don't even speak your language sing your songs, like that kind of thing, just keeps everything in perspective. And family, like I love my family. I still live in Virginia, where I grew up. I live a mile away from the high school I went to, and I've always really felt like it's ridiculous for anyone to consider themselves any more special than anyone else just because they play a guitar. It's just so dumb, you know. I mean, I have just as much respect for the guy that renovated my mother's house as I do for, you know, John Frusciante. Like, they're good people. That's probably the most important thing. So, and all the attention and adulation and you know, it's flattering. It's really great when people come up to you and say, "Man, I really love your band. Can I have your autograph?" It's not like torture. It's not. I mean, it should be flattering. Well, we have done a lot of nice old covers that we love just because they're great songs. Whether it was Baker Street by Jerry Rafferty, Carry On My Wayward Son by Kansas, or what else have we done? Stuff like, well, recently we had Peter Frampton come up on stage with us and do Show Me the Way, and that just blew our minds, man, and the audience went nuts. It was in Tennessee. Well, there was a part of me that thought, like, okay, you know, I know that a lot of people will know who he is, but hopefully it won't just be the you know, young kids that will think, that guy's not cool enough because he doesn't have a mohawk or something like that. And he came up on stage, and the crowd went completely insane. They went completely nuts. It was awesome, man. And I mean, you know, having grown up with listening to that live version of that song so many times, and all of a sudden you're standing there next to him doing it, it was awesome. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, I mean, there have been times where we've done, what did we do? We did Lovin', Touchin', Squeezin' by Journey once, and the audience kind of looked at us like, God, that new Foo Fighters song sucks, you know? But I mean, in Nirvana, we always had, one of our greatest intentions was to turn on people to new kind of underground music, you know. And it's weird because now with the Foo Fighters, it almost seems like we want to turn on the younger audience to like the foundation of rock, you know, like give a lot of respect to the people that inspired us to be where we are now. And whether it's doing an Eddie Money cover or doing Baker Street or whatever, like it's always been important to us to kind of wear that on our sleeve. Like, we love rock and roll, whether it's from 1966 or 1976 or 1986, you know. We really, I mean, on our record, we thanked Stuart Copeland, the drummer of the Police, on our record. We don't even know the guy, but he's such a huge inspiration. It's just like, thank you for, you know, helping us out and letting us become the people that we are. Well, Taylor more than me, but absolutely. I mean, that guy's, there's a few great drummers where you can hear 30 seconds of it, just a drum track, and know who's playing. You know, there's Keith Moon, and there's Stuart Copeland, and there's John Bonham, and those three, you hear it for a couple seconds and you know exactly who it is. They're such signature players that, and as a drummer, I always had this drumming as songwriting mentality. Like, you should play the drums like you're writing your own song. You should have a verse and a chorus and a verse and a chorus, and it should switch up and give a song dynamic. And Stuart Copeland was one of the people that was guilty of that. Going from the drums to playing guitar and singing, with Nirvana, I was in the back behind these enormous drums with my hair in my face, and Kurt was the center and the driving force behind the band. He really was. I mean, he was the songwriter, and we all took direction from him. You know, we all trusted him because we knew that this guy was so beautiful. Like, he was just so great. So I never had any intention of trying to be the front person. I just never felt like it. I've always been a team player, you know. So, and then when this whole thing came about, I didn't know what to do. I had no idea what to say or how to move or I just really didn't know. So, after 5 years, you start feeling a little more comfortable with it. But still, it feels pretty uncomfortable. I started playing guitar when I was about 11 years old, and by the time I was 14, my playing had kind of peaked. Like, my fingers won't move any faster. I've never really been big on lead guitars. Jimmy Page is probably, Jimmy Page and Brian May, two people that I really enjoy hearing leads from. But I only say that as an excuse because I can't move my fingers very quickly. But no, to me, the biggest challenge isn't really trying to get your fingers to go so fast. It's trying to find new melodies and new chords, and I don't even know what the chords that I'm playing are called. Like, I come up with some chords sometimes that I think are really neat, really cool, but I don't have the slightest idea what they are. And it's not until some guitar magazine transcribes the whole thing that I actually figure out what it is that I'm playing. So, but to me, the songwriting part of music is a little more interesting. Just because, if you've got an arrangement that takes you from point A to point B and really goes somewhere in that time, that's what makes a song, I think, not how quick your fingers move. When I'm on my own at home, I listen to a little bit of new music and a little bit of old music. There's a new band called Supergrass that I love so much. They're great. They're from England. And I think a lot of people that enjoy music from the 70s and 80s would love them too, just because their songs are so good. I listen to this band called Cat Power that's really just a girl named Shawn Marshall who has the most beautiful voice I've ever heard in my life. She's an absolute angel, and so it's hard for me to listen to her record sometimes just because it breaks my heart. It's so beautiful. And then older music, I'm big on Sabbath. I love Black Sabbath so much. We love Queen so much. I was just listening to The Game, the Queen record on the bus. A healthy dose of both. Let's see. Well, Have a Cigar was Taylor's idea, our drummer. He's really, really heavy into Floyd. He's kind of the biggest Floyd freak of us all. We like Roger Waters because he had such a nasty punk rock attitude. We like that. Gilmour was such a sweetheart. So, I mean, it's kind of like choosing Lennon or McCartney. They both complemented each other really well, and, it's hard to choose. So I'd have to say I can't make a decision on that one. Brian May is one of the sweetest men you've ever met in your life. He is really probably the greatest life inspiration, just because he's an amazing musician, made great music, and his music has inspired millions of people. But knowing him as a friend and a person inspires you to just be a better person, because that guy is like the Pope, man. I swear to God, he's the nicest person in the world. We all love him very much. That's why he says stuff like that. Taylor is a really big Yes fan and has treated us to many a live Yes concert video. We've seen a lot of that on the bus, and of course I grew up hearing the hits on the radio, so I have a lot of respect for Bruford and the rest of the boys, but kind of goes back to that fast fingers thing that I'm talking about. Sometimes the prog really escapes me. Like, I can get into some Rush, definitely. I can do the Rush thing, but Yes seems a little too hippie-ish for me or something. I don't know. Skynyrd, man, you can't deny Lynyrd Skynyrd. I mean, I think Lynyrd Skynyrd did for the South what Oasis was doing for England a couple years ago. They are the true blue Southern rock masterpiece. And I love it. I think they were great. When I stay in hotels, I use the name Artemis Pyle, the drummer. I'm changing it tomorrow, but I've been using it for a long time.